Hey, I hope everybody's turning Christmas ornaments. I've seen some good looking stuff popping up on our Facebook page. I mean, Bob Grinstead posted one that he did. It'd be a perfect demonstration for us. A block, couple of holes drilled, shaped, made a nifty looking little Christmas ornament or table decoration. And we should all be thinking about table decorations this time of the year. I mean, you are going to have the family over, aren't you? Or you're going to go
What
mooching.
family?
Or go, yeah, I agree with you there, Joe.
I think Scott's in the chat. He is there. Scott's doing a Zoom tutorial, I believe, on Christmas ornaments fairly soon.
Yes, it's going to be a two-parter. First one's this Saturday, and the next one's on the 28th.
Yeah. They're good projects. They're skill builders, if nothing else. And you can use construction lumber. I love the term construction lumber, which means you'll get some old ratty old 2x4s and make a nice piece out of it.
There you go.
And then if you go, people say you shouldn't say moochie meal. You go get a meal someplace, leave a little bit of something of yours behind. You're going to the kids, whatever. Last weekend, I was cruel. I was at my 3-year-old great-grandson's birthday party, and I gave away whistles.
Oh, boy. You're such a nice person.
We just had a member in my club do a demonstration on making whistles last Saturday. I haven't got it around to it, but I'll be making some and selling them at the craft shows so I can hear all the kids walking around the craft shows.
Oh, God.
Blowing the whistles, driving everybody crazy.
That's
But
right.
they go home with them, Scott. You love it. They go home with them.
Parents are going to be mad at you.
When we were walking to the car, we left after a couple hours. I got a little chilly and I wasn't comfortable. So we left after before the party was over. We got to the car and you could hear them all over by the cabana. No, and I said, "Oh, I'd love to be in those cars going home."
Yeah, we went to a craft show last weekend or weekend before, and somebody was selling the little pop guns where you stretch it out to pull the popper back in it, and then you push it and it blows it out and pops. And those kids are all the whole time just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So pop,
Yep.
pop, 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 everywhere you went.
Yeah. I made these probably 15, 20 years ago. It was
Sure.
a skill building practice. And I did a bunch of them to take to a public library as an out thing for the club. We went to this library and did a couple of presentations, somewhere in the evenings, but one of them decided, oh, you know what, you just go have some fun. It's a huge library. It's a beautiful place. And they have a children's section. So we went there and I turned spinning tops and gave away whistles.
In a library?
In a library. They didn't say there were rules.
That's great.
But I had a ball. It was a blast. I mean, to give a little kid a spinning top, I turned a couple of plates with lips on them to where they wouldn't spin off the plates, and you show them how to. And for a 3 or 4 year old to be able to do this and spin a top, it's actually funny to watch them. It's an enjoyable action. And then when they were leaving, we gave them the whistles. But they all got something to go home with, and I remember all from Bayou Woodturners. And it was a fun little thing. We did an evening one there for adults and probably picked up a half a dozen members from that one presentation. Management change, I had a hard time getting some of the members to participate in those type of development programs. If they want to be a member, they'll find us and things like that. Don't pass up on those opportunities if you're in a club to expand horizons of your club by going out and doing things to show folks what you do and how easy it can become. And it's not easy to do. It can become easy. But take it out there and show them what you do and make sure there's something that there's a finger toy you can give away. There's something you can give to them and let them have a little bit of fun. And The finger tops were one.
Somebody walked away from their screen.
Yeah, I got rid of it. That was Randy.
See what the
And
sign
it locked it
said?
up.
Halloween
Okay.
special, Bobby's Berry,
I'll
$5.
be back in a minute.
All right. But when you do those kinds of things, make sure there's something that can walk away with you and walk away with them. So if you do something like finger tops, no, you have to have a disposable amount to actually pass on. If you're doing a craft show, you folks that do craft shows, you got to stop them to show them.
Mhm.
My daddy was the world's greatest salesman, the world's greatest. You could throw a pair of shoes away and he can sell them back to you in 5 minutes. It really.
I picked up
Um,
picked up a good pen order for from one of my coworkers, and they're always looking for something to make the pens stick out a little bit more. I don't know if y'all can see this very well or not.
Little gun case.
He ordered 6 of the bolt action pens, and I found a little rifle case looking gift box for each of his pens that he ordered, and it's even sculpted out on the inside and everything.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah, and it's plastic, and it looks just exactly like the rifle case you'd go buy at a sporting goods store.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a nice little addition for a coworker that bought a half a dozen pens from me for Christmas and ordered them before Thanksgiving, which was a nice touch.
Yes.
Mhm.
Instead of the day before saying, you know what I need?
Yeah, yeah,
Can you do me 6 of those like you gave one of the guys at the office?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Christmas Eve.
But I'm going to turn all the pins out of deer antler, so and they'll have the stag head on the clip and the bolt action and the bullet point.
There you go.
Oh, that'd be nice. Nice touch.
Yeah,
In the rifle case.
yeah. Down here in Texas, that plays pretty well.
Yeah. Well, there's a guy out of Spring, Texas named Larry Zara, Zarra. He's a very, very good turner, very good turner. And I went to a craft show he was at in Covington, Louisiana, and we were walking through some of the street, so whole street fair, and there was a crowd stopped in front of a booth, and I had my, let me see, it was my granddaughters with me at the time and some other family, and my youngest granddaughter went and said, hey, you should see that what that guy's got. He's got some tops. And Larry had a big bowl of tops that he turned, huge bowl, probably a couple of hundred in it. And he was letting the kids play with them, and you get them for $1. So he had the kids stop, the parents watching, and then he made his sale pitch. And it wasn't on tops. And he said, it was doing great. But you got to stop him and talk to him. And that's how he got him to stop. And then I went to another one where a guy had made some drums. And he put the leather on and all, and he had a little drumsticks, and they would beat on the drumsticks. He stopped them. They playing the drums. Had to talk to the parents about what he had on the table. And he was selling bottle stoppers. I mean, he had a collection of bottle stoppers, and I know he sold 100. So it was.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There was a Saturday before Thanksgiving, and I couldn't believe how many stoppers he sold.
I would do it at a craft show, and I had my turnings out there, but I was set up next to a guy called the Salsa King. This guy it was amazing. Somebody walked by and said, hey, mister, you like salsa? He said, well, yeah. So you like it hot or you like it mild? He says, well, I don't know. Well, come over here and try some. And as soon as they tried it, he had them hooked. That guy stowed up with like 30 cases of pint jars of that stuff. He was selling them for $10 a piece or 3 for $25. I mean, at the end of the day, he had maybe 1 case left. It was amazing, that guy. But that's how he did it. And like you said, you got to get them in. You got to get them to come to the booth.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Can't
mhm.
sit back like a lump on a log and hope they're just going to give you money. And I don't. Well, a true salesman knows that. He knows that it's almost never the product; it's the presentation.
Oh yeah.
Learned a lot about that, and he says, "I wish you hadn't hung." She tells me sometimes, "I wish you hadn't hung out with your daddy so much." She won't take me retail shopping. She won't. She won't take me. We went in Lowe's to get the parts for the screens. I hadn't been in a Lowe's or Home Depot in a very long time. And went to parts in Lowe's to get parts for something. And the lady came, we finally found the part because we could. I talked to the 3 employees. I couldn't explain to them adequately what I was looking for. Used all the jargon all the right way, but they were just dumb Lowe's and Home Depot people. And I was sitting on the floor and a girl came up and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, this is a really poor display of items." And she says, "Yeah, I know, isn't it? It's almost embarrassing." I said, to me, that's not being part of the plan. Don't tell me, yeah, this sucks. Help me with it. But they had the brackets for this, but those pieces don't get sold here anymore. We have these other pieces, but if you work really hard, you might be able to make these two to go together, but I won't get the way you want to go. But we have them. She said, "I don't believe in this." She said, "I don't know why I even take you into a retail place anymore." I said, "Just imagine if we had my dad with me. Yeah, it would be really fun. Wouldn't have to get the camera out. That'd be the problem. He'd be all over YouTube."
Yeah.
Anybody got an update on Mark Soleil yet? He was supposed to go home last week.
Haven't talked to him. Haven't heard from Sue either about it.
No,
I talked to Mark last week. Yeah, I talked to Mark last week.
Right.
He's retraining himself to turn. He's getting back out there.
There's nothing going to get past him.
Wednesday, he was in the hospital for another couple of those TIAs.
Oh, did he? Oh no, I hadn't heard that.
Oh yeah. But he was in the hospital talking to us.
Yeah, he was at the meeting, pretty chatty. So said he'd be here.
13. Yeah. So, but he's a mean old dog. He'll don't cross him. He'll get this beat. I had an old friend one time. They told him he couldn't walk again because he had a virus that attacked his spinal column. He walked into the doctor's office 8 months later. Walked in, taught himself how to walk using a harness and a come along, picked himself up onto a rail on his front porch, and taught himself how to walk. And the PT people said, you can't do that. Well, he did it. Taught himself how to walk and overcome it. And when he went to see the doctor said, "You're walking?" He says, "Walked in from a parking lot. The place is rough out there, But just don't. There's some folks in this world you just can't tell them no. They're beyond that. Mark's beyond that. Can't tell Mark no. I hadn't gotten a lot of requests for stickers in the last couple of trips. Check them every day. See if somebody want them. I got 2 orders to go out. One's going to a fellow taking them to the Tennessee area wood turners for me. And another one's heading to a group in Great Britain that wants them for the club.
That might have been Alex.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Now,
I went in to get the stickers, and I got into the PayPal thing, but there's no price on there. What price to put in?
You have to put in $6 American.
Is that it?
Yeah.
If that's it, then that's
I
grand.
explained that last week and the week before too.
Okay, sorry about that. I must have missed that.
And you get 5 stickers for the $6. If you require
Grand,
more,
excellent.
we'll work something out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I in fact,
No worries. High finance, Wayne.
No worries. He find it. No worries. Watch. Like my Uncle Bubba. He never missed a note. But if you need stickers, we got, hello, Jim. We got stickers. We have them. And we also have deals on our website if you're looking to get something embroidered, which I've got a brand new vest right here. I got off the internet, and that's going to get embroidered for me with the club logo. And that's because Bob Grinstead did that for us. He got the artwork done by his daughter-in-law. And I got it in the hands of the lady that does embroidery for my wife's group. And she's looking at what she has to do to put it on. We may have to disassemble. It's a fleece line vest, but my wife can take it apart and put it back together again to embroider it. And then we have embroidery, we have the stickers. There was one more way.
Club logo,
It was what?
t-shirts. Scott's doing those t-shirts.
T-shirts. I'm trying to get there. That's what I was going for. It wouldn't come. We have the t-shirt deal, and that information is on our website, where you send your t-shirt to get it screen printed. And anybody got one on tonight? You got one on, Dane?
No, but I can go put one on real quick.
Oh, just they. But they're nice. They're nice shirts.
I got some new colors in.
Oh wow! But you picked a shirt or the piece of clothing.
Yes.
And I say piece of clothing because it ain't gonna be long before Doug Rowe gets underwear done. But
That's not a good picture.
no, it's not. But
No,
don't
it
doubt
is.
it.
Thanks a lot, Ed. I appreciate that.
Where's the brain bleach?
For
I
those
was going to add or worse.
for those of you who don't know it, we've been thrilled with those of you. But we have a little fun here at everybody's expense, which is fine. Yeah, and I have T-shirts written right here, Scott. Charlie,
There
I
we go.
couldn't read it. Let's go back to him. Where's he at?
Dun, dun, dun.
Nice screen print.
Dun, dun, dun.
Nice.
Nice logo. Nice big
Absolutely.
old logo on the back.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Cool. Where'd the
You
sleeves
got the
go?
.org on it. Still got the tag.
It's missing the sleeves though.
That's
No,
when
no,
you would
it's
be
not
cool,
missing-
Billy.
Missing that at all. No, I wouldn't say it's missing.
Well off and
You
shave.
have to have sleeves.
I advertise everywhere I go.
Cuts down on postage,
Yeah.
Cost of the shirt.
Where'd you get the shirt at?
I wanted to just say, I finally remembered this guy's name. Mark Soleil called here Monday, and he was out of the hospital. He was doing pretty good, but a friend that he's worked with for years, Frank Bauer, passed away. And I guess he'd had a heart attack. He was in pretty bad shape, but he passed away. I've known him for years too, but he was calling a bunch of people to let him know, so I didn't get to talk to him much, but he was home making a whole slew of phone calls, so he's out of the hospital.
Okay, that's good to know.
Mhm.
It'll be up to kicking butt pretty quick.
Jim, is that the same Frank Bauer that was in Georgia who does
Yes.
the videos?
Yep.
Oh, what a shame. I really liked him.
Yeah, he neat guy.
Yeah, we had some interesting chats online every now and again. So sorry to hear that.
He came to a workshop that Mark came down to for a club that I attended. They were like riding partners. and really nice guy.
Frank was a real good guy, and he taught classes there at Highland, and I took a class with him way back in 2008. But he was well known throughout the Southeast, helping people turn.
Yep.
He was in the wood business, I think, with Mark, I think, but that's where I met him. They were teaching. They had a whole warehouse full of wood and 3 or 4 lathes, and they were teaching in the back of there. That was, oh Lord, 20 years ago. No, not that long. Yeah, probably almost 20 years ago. Long time.
Yeah. Sometimes you hate to answer the phone. You really do. At our age, we talking about this morning. It's what kind of phone call you get. Oh well. All right. Never know. Hope you folks been turning. We were talking about Christmas ornaments a little while ago, and I got sidetracked a whole lot. But like Grinstead, he's got one that he showed on Facebook. It's a pretty simple thing. He showed how he laid it out and everything. But then I saw that outlaw over in Texas, Tim Hatch. I saw a picture of him, and I know he's got a gun, but I'm talking nice about him. Saw a picture of him, and he's got hundreds of ornaments on a rack behind him. He's getting ready for the craft shows for ornaments. And then another member, piles of ornaments stacked up there. So, folks, this is the time to turn those ornaments. This is the time to get them done. And get them done and get them decorated and get them out of there. And remember, you can't go wrong. No one can say, I don't like Christmas ornaments. If so, have them shot. It's just a fun little trinket, a toy. It's great to give a kid. Kids will never say, about a Christmas ornament. They love them all. Decorate them. And with all the paints and glitter paints and sparkly things, and I'm not into all those different color changing paints that Matt Harber is into, and the stuff with all the glitter. No, Matt comes up with those, doesn't he? I mean, Wayne, you ever seen some of the paints Matt comes up with?
Glitter rules, you guys.
If I could get him down on the French Quarter in New Orleans, he'd make a, go see this guy. What's he drinking?
I was about to say, Eddie, one of the pieces I'm showing tonight. In fact, both of the pieces I'm showing tonight have got glitter on them somewhere.
Yeah, well, Wayne started the whole
I love
thing.
It, Wayne. We're using the same stuff. We're using Emma Cook's stuff. So.
Wayne started the whole thing with Joe Sonia iridescent paints.
Yep.
I remember this.
You see, you can take construction material, sand it out nice, paint with those decorative paints you pick up at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or whatever, and you've taken a simple, what I say is a simple piece of work with a little bit of your artistic endeavors in it and a little bit of mind twist from what you do. And remember, there's no set rule, none. It doesn't have to be, and they have to be, and have to be, and all this stuff. There's no rule about it. It's what looks good in your mind. You do it, and then you color it and decorate it, and you make a kid's day. And if you're doing a craft show, remember the deal. You got to stop them so they got to sparkle. They got to sparkle. Matt, I'm teasing with you about the sparkly paint and all, but it's true that I showed that, lit it with the dot paint piece with the curly Q finial to my youngest daughter the other day, and she's a nut for exactness and stuff. And she looked at it and she said, "That's really nice. Does he use a pattern or should he?" I said, "No, man, because she believes it has to be perfectly laid out." But she loved it. She really loved it.
Well, thank you, Eddie. I can give you an answer. I kind of used a pattern, a stencil, and kind of didn't. So
I would believe that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did some basic layout with the stencils and a compass, just so that some of the starting dots were all lined up right. but a lot of it was done freehand. Just I'll get it out and show y'all. It's yeah, it was so a lot of it is just, I mean, when you walk the dots, you're just, which is meaning going from the bigger ones to the smaller ones, you know, that's just, you're just walking them. You're not following any lines or anything. And then a lot of the dots, you're putting them on top of another dot or between other dots. So anyway, but yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah.
And it's very effective as well.
Yeah, and it's a great way to fill space. You know, I mean, I'm a big fan of just raw wood anyway. I think wood is pretty. I mean, that's why I'm in this to begin with. But it's just, you know, you can add stuff to it and really, you know, enhance the heck out of something. So,
beauty of wood, God's not made. Yeah, God's never made two pieces identical, so you got all this to work with. You know, you've got a fabulous palette to work with.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm playing with is I'm adding some of the mica powders. So this has got the chameleon mica powders and stuff on it, where they change colors as you rotate it in the light. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can't really see it all that well, but
we see it.
Oh yeah, you can.
Oh yeah.
I love these things. I love these things, and so I've been mixing them with normal acrylic paints, and I bought some other just straight up mica powders, not chameleon or anything. So the gold here is just like a Walmart gold with some bronze mica dust mixed in with it. And I really love how that turned out too. So a lot of this was just pure experimentation. You know, can I blend several different colors of the mica dust? Can I blend it with paint? What happens? You know, and I'm delighted with how it turned out. So
yeah. Which mica powder is that on the ribbon? Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, it's very, I have Emma Cook's, and I have something I bought off of, it was either Temu or Amazon, but it came in the mail. And they're very, very similar.
Yeah.
So they behave almost identically. Right. And I used Emma's on some other stuff, and it's nearly identical. They're almost indistinguishable. Right.
I was just wondering which one it was, see if I had some of that, because I've not seen that color combination, and of course I've only used one of mine so far.
Well, this one, the finial, the ribbon finial has 3 of them on it. It's got it's got a red gold up top, and then a red purple in the middle, and then a blue green red down at the bottom. And I may have done it like I missed some bits when I first went into it. So I sort of like took it out of my shop and used the compressed air to blow it off, and you know, redid it. So some of it, I mean, there's one part on here where you can actually see, I don't know if you can see it, it's right there where you can actually see where there's a second coat right there. It is right there. I don't know if you can see it where my finger is. Yeah. Yeah, it's the only place where you can actually see that there's a second coat of it on there.
Okay.
So this is the chameleon mica powder I have, but like I say, Emma Cook's works just great. I mean, it's the same stuff.
How did you apply that, Matt?
I on the ribbon finial, I just use sizing. So I used
gold size,
gold
leaf size.
Yeah, metal leaf size. So that's what I use.
Metal leaf size. Yeah.
And you just wipe it on, and you give it like 30 minutes till it becomes tacky, and then you just take the brush that comes with the mica powder and you brush it on.
Gotcha.
Which is it's a makeup brush. Basically, it's a makeup brush that you can just dip into the powder or flakes, and then just dab it on to the gold leaf size.
Cool.
I do have to warn you, Eddie. I was cleaning some things up, and looking for a compass which was missing, and found some older mica powders that are in different vivid colors. So these are going to go on something soon too. So I got these.
I had that kit. I had that kit.
It has nothing to do with airbrushing or anything like that.
Yes, I did not use the airbrush on this at all.
Okay, so you're in control with your own hand and like what Wayne said, just a makeup brush.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this little kit comes with a little makeup brush. That's all it is. It's just a little tiny makeup brush. Okay. And it'll never be clean.
So what do you spray on? Okay, so you put a backing on it first to make
it's not spraying. It's a liquid. It's a liquid glue, and it's called
Albert,
Size.
It's called Gold Leaf Size, Albert.
Yeah. This is the one I used, and it's backwards on my screen, but I'm told that this is forwards on yours.
Yeah,
right?
it's forwards.
Yes.
Okay.
It's gilding. It's gilding adhesive.
Yeah,
What's used in gilding.
Yeah, it's for gold foil, gold leaf, or whatever. That's the same stuff.
Yeah, it just gets brushed. It just gets brushed on. You leave it for about 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes till it becomes tacky, and then you dab on the colors on top of that.
Yeah, and it just takes a little bit of powder. You just get it out of the little jar.
Very little.
Yeah.
So you're doing this. The lathe is off.
Yeah, I'm doing this somewhere out of airflow. You don't want any airflow, no fans, no anything, because if you get any kind of
goes everywhere
light breeze, that stuff will be everywhere.
Yeah. Yes, Albert. The lathe is off when you're doing this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you're controlling it yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have, and I did it right here in front of the desk here. And I tried to do it inside a box, and I still have some of this chameleon powder on my keyboard and on my mouse pad, and can't get it off.
Right. What you should do, Matt, do what Emma does. What Emma does is when she's doing this, she puts a sheet of maybe A4 print paper underneath where she's doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
So it all the excess drops down onto the paper, and then she can siphon that back into the pot again.
Mm-hmm.
I did exactly that, Wayne. I almost all of it that was left over, I was able to get back in the pot. So yeah, I did exactly that. So but some of it still gets loose. So
it does. Yes,
it escapes.
Yeah, it's pretty light stuff.
The piece you showed is just gorgeous.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't sneeze on it.
Another way you can apply it is you can mix it with an airbrush medium, and you can actually airbrush it on it as well.
Kade, have you done that? Because I read that, and I tried mixing it with a medium, but I didn't airbrush it, and my results were less than optimal. Can you tell me more about that?
Right. With I would say with the powders, with the mica powders, I think what you have to do is open the airbrush up a little bit, so you pull the needle back, so you get more opening when you're airbrushing. I don't think with the flakes, I don't think it'll work with the flakes, but with the powders, it's just a case of actually opening the airbrush up, so there's more space for the powders to come through as well.
Yeah. Do you still use the sizing?
No, I didn't. I didn't use sizing when I used it in an airbrush. I mixed it with the airbrush medium, and I mean the powder is such a fine powder, it should come through the needle. If it's not as optimal, you might have mixed too much powder in the medium, and then it's just clogging up the tip. But you can pull the needle back, like Wayne said, to open it up a little more to apply a bit more, but you got to be careful. You open it too much and you're too close to the piece, it's going to be a muddy mess and blotchy and stuff here and there.
Because what I did just to try it, because I read that, I didn't put it through the airbrush. I just mixed a little tiny bit of dust in with a little tiny, like a drop of airbrush medium. And then I tried to paint it, and it never dried. Like 12 hours, it still didn't dry. So, and I guess that's what medium's supposed to do is you mix it with your paints, and it prolongs the life of it, right? But so that's why I asked if you need to use the sizing with it.
It depends on what medium you're using.
Yeah, depends on the medium you're using. If it's a thinning,
because you have a slow medium, which will slow down the drying process, but then you have the
thinning medium.
One of the other mediums, which will actually thin down the product without losing the color.
Okay. Because the only one I have is just Createx airbrush medium. It doesn't say thinning or I mean it says thins paint and prolongs drying or whatever like that. Prolongs work time or something like that. So I don't know. I have to experiment more with it because it's something I want to add. So
you can also get transparent airbrush paint, and you can mix it with the airbrush paint, and then you can thin it so it flows better through the airbrush, and that will allow it to dry properly. With the mediums, depending if it's a slowing drying medium or a speeding up drying medium or a thinning medium, it all depends on the medium. But if you get the transparent airbrush paint, you mix it with that, and then you can thin it with the medium, and then that stuff will dry properly.
Thank you, Kate. I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
Most of the flow mediums do actually retard the drying as well. It takes longer to dry if you use it.
Mm-hmm.
Would the size nozzle make a difference to blow it through?
Yes, and the needle positioning. If the needle's too closed or the needle's too open, you'll get different flow.
Huh.
But also bear in mind that different airbrushes have different nozzle sizes. Anything from 0.2 up to 0.8 is the norm, but you can get even bigger than that. But some paints or some products won't go through a small nozzle, no matter how much you move the needle. It's down to the particle size. You can dilute it and thin it and make it flow more, but if the particle size is still too big for the nozzle size, it isn't going to flow. Or isn't going to flow through the airbrush anyway. You can obviously paint it, but with a brush or something. So if you've got a product with what you think is bigger particle sizes, go for a bigger nozzle size, 0.5 or 0.8. The thinner airbrush paints like the golden and Comart type paints, you could spray those with a 0.2 nozzle because they're very thin. It's almost like an ink. And they'll go through a very small nozzle, but yeah, anything with sort of bigger particles, then you need a bigger nozzle, definitely. I've found that with some of the Createx paints. I use some of the Comart and golden paints and ones like that and spray those quite happily with a 0.2 needle, but some of the Createx paints I've got, you just can't get them to come out of a spray an airbrush with a 0.2 nozzle. You've got to be probably up around 0.5.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
Really appreciate everybody's input on this. Thanks very much.
You're welcome, Matt.
Hey, while we're welcoming people, we should mention that we have a bunch of new members joining us tonight, and those new members are welcome. If you're just coming in with us and you want to say hello, join us and say hello. If you need something special, let us know. We have a chat, and that chat is where you can put in information that you need or a request, or if you want to show an item in the gallery tonight, that's where you put it. I have something to show for gallery. All that goes right here. This is your wood turning club. We have 87 folks involved tonight. Much more than that will be with us later on this evening. We have a great demonstration coming forward to you. And see how that conversation went just now, where we went off on a tangent to talk about colors of ornaments, and then we got the colors of paints and then powders and flakes and ads and all. That's what happens here on Worldwide Woodturners. We take everything to the edge because we're not married to anybody. We're not locked in. We're not afraid of a manufacturer. If it's good, bad, ugly, we're going to tell you it's good, bad, or ugly. And we're going to get the opinion of real woodturners, not salesmen, when we talk about this. So if you have something to add, jump on board. There's no hierarchy, no limits, no restrictions. We really want to know what you want to think about, or what you are thinking about, what you want to say. And with that, it might be time to do a little gallery. Is it time, Dane?
Well, you could twist my arm, and I just might be able to wrangle up some gallery items here, Eddie.
Consider it twisted.
All right. Well, let's. Where'd he go?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Wayne, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Which Wayne?
Oh, sorry. I got a couple of pieces. This is a work in progress. It's a vase turned fairly thin with some color change, although you can't see it unless you look at the really edge, with some piercing, still to get some more color on there and probably some more piercing on there. So that's my first piece. The second piece, again, is a color change, but
Oh, he froze. Must be that storm going through the UK.
Yeah, we can't see the second piece, Wayne, just if you're there listening.
Yeah, you froze up, buddy.
It's gorgeous, though.
Yes, it is.
We'll come back to him when he comes on. So
it is gorgeous.
All right, let's go to Doug. Hey, Doug.
Okay, I'm here. It is good to see everybody tonight. Yesterday in my live, I had decided I was going to do a goblet, and I grabbed the first chunk of wood that looked like it was eligible, and actually cut a piece off of it. It was too long, but that's what I came up with. It's a piece of how do you say that? Goncalo Alves or Alves? Or
Yeah, Goncalo Alves.
Yeah, okay.
AKA Tiger Wood.
Yes, there you go. And that's what
Alvarez.
That's what we said.
Yeah.
We said yesterday it looked an awful lot like Tiger Wood. This ended up it started off at 9 inches. It ended up at 8 by like 2 7/8, something like that in diameter. Just a nice couple of a little semi beads here, and then a big bead in the middle, and then kind of echoed with just one kind of a fillet on the bottom. But it all worked out, came out pretty nice. Inside is nicely cleaned out. Abrasive paste and wax is the finish. I don't have my circles, but I do have my information, my name, the wood species. There we go. We'll get it up right. The date, all of that kind of thing is on the bottom. But anyway, it's all there, and it was a fun turn. About an hour and 20-minute demo online live.
It was very enjoyable.
Well, thank you. We work at that.
That's really pretty, Doug.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. That's me for tonight.
In flooring,
thanks,
that's
Doug.
sold as Tiger Wood.
Okay.
It's real pretty, Doug.
I'm glad to know that actually is Tiger Wood, because I thought it looked an awful lot like what I see Shay there at BB turn more weeks than not. So it is pretty wood. It's hard, it's dense, it's heavy, but it does turn and it sands up really nicely.
Yes, it does.
Gives you a real nice finish.
Standing. All right, let's go to Patrick. Hey, Pat.
Okay, you got me?
Yes, sir.
This was a 5-axis turn, and it started out about 6 inches square and about 8 inches long, and it was offset 1.5 inches. And it was a nightmare to turn. I couldn't get over about a little under 300 RPM to turn the top part of it.
What kind of wood is it?
It's black walnut, and I put vinegar and steel wool ebonizing on it.
Ebonized it?
Yeah.
Was it real green?
No, it was dry.
Huh.
But it was
pretty.
It was fun to turn, but it took a while.
Very nice.
And then I got this 3/4
nice
piece.
Nice.
Oh, that's nice.
What are the woods?
It's black walnut, ebonized, and got this is gold gill cream, and this is gold iridescent. And then the sides, that's the gilt cream. And I turned a ribbon finial for it.
Oh, that's pretty
nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yep, very nice.
Good job.
Thank you. That's all I got.
All right.
Good
Thanks,
job.
Pat. All right. Let's go. Let's see. Howard. There he is. Mr. Johnson. Howard, can you start your video?
Yes, sir. Right now. Can
I
you
gotta
see
find
it?
you again. Yeah, I got you.
This is what I've got. It's a pine, it's pecan vase that I've decided to embellish with carvings of dragons. And it's a textured background with with iridescent paint, acrylic paint. And then it's I put one coat of clear enamel on it, clear gloss enamel. So anyway, took me a while to do all this, but it finally turned out. I think it turned out fairly well.
So do I. That's gorgeous.
Yeah,
That's pretty nice there, Billy.
Thank you.
What was the inspiration there, Howard?
Bruce Jones. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's got a Facebook page on Turned, Carved and Embellished, and he does some amazing stuff. And he did some vases, and I pretty much took inspiration from him. And
okay.
I like dragons, so I decided, well, we'll just put dragons on it, you know. And
yeah, I didn't know if it was the Dungeons and Dragons or Game of Thrones or what, so I thought I'd ask.
Oh, my daughter, she's a dragon. She loves dragons.
So,
okay.
I mean, are you an artist? I mean, there's just so much detail.
Well, what I did, I'm not very good at drawing or tracing. So what I do, I go to the internet and I get clip art. I look through clip art, just hundreds and hundreds of clip art till I find some that I like. And then I copy them and then I engrave them with a laser on this piece as for a pattern. And then I just go to work from there. So that's all clip art.
This is by hand. By hand, you go to work from there by hand.
This is all power carving here. I use micromotors, and I've got a little air turbine that I use from time to time. But most of this is micromotors, and I do have a Chinese Fordham knockoff that I use to really remove a bunch of wood. But most of this was done with micromotors. And
very cool.
Use stump cutter bits and cuts all bits and all different types of bits. I even use diamond bits on it, you know. So
some very tiny bits.
Yes, some very, very small ones, because you got it. If you notice in between the horns and stuff, you know, there's not a whole lot of space there. So you have to get those points, those V's real sharp, you know. So
there aren't any words to describe that. That's so beautiful.
Well, thank you. I did some photography on it. If you'll notice right here on this gold, there's some texture behind the breastplates, and that's all. I made my own bit for that and burned it in, and it come in. It turned out pretty good. I didn't think it was going to even show, but it shows some. Here, let me see if I get closer. I don't know how close I can get it, but probably not very close. This camera doesn't have a very long focal point, but you might be able to catch that one turquoise one. Then that's got I took a piece of square carbon steel stock and made me a stamp for the scales there for that. But if you'll look, you might be able to see the texture as it comes around, the pyrography texture. You just barely notice it, see. So anyway, it's, oh, let me stop it here. I'll top it.
Oh, Howard, that's amazing.
Well, thank you. If I can get this thing to stop, then it takes a little bit.
Just pick it up.
Okay. Well, anyway, here we go. We can do that, I guess. But anyway,
well, I appreciate you picking it up so we have a little better scale. Thank you.
yeah. There, you can probably this camera doesn't have a very good long focal, very short focal length, but you can kind of see some of the texture there. And the back,
how long did it take you to do that?
a long time. Days. Of course, I didn't work solid on it all the time, but I'd work on it every day. I bet I worked on it every day for 3 weeks.
Well, that's impressive right there.
Yeah, the texture was the background texture, the little dimples, I did with a Harbor Freight needle rust remover. You just punched little holes, air-driven needle rust remover, and that sure saved a lot of time than having to try to do them individually, one at a time. So anyway, the only regret I have is I didn't make this one here, the top one. I wish I'd made it bigger, larger, made it more prominent. But other than
that's great. That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's going to an art show this weekend, so hopefully it'll pique some interest.
There you go.
Yeah, that's really pretty.
There we go.
There aren't any words. We're all at all.
Thanks for sharing there, Howard.
Wow.
Oh, you're welcome. You know, I don't do a whole bunch of pieces because the pieces I do take a long time to do. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
I may not have another piece for another month, but hopefully it'll turn out as good as this one did.
Right. Well, we look forward to seeing it next month then.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you again. All right. Let's go to Dave Kingsley. What's up, Grandpa?
Well, I didn't get a whole lot of time in the shop this week, but I did get a request for a new burial urn. And so this little guy started off this morning as a urinal spud. And I was able to trim it down so that I can use it.
There you go.
And hopefully it'll work better than the plastic I was using, because I wouldn't use plastic on a human's urn. So
yeah, the brass plumbing or hydro and gas parts are more superb than using PVC.
yeah, and it's so readily available. Of course, I had to go online and order it.
And it's cheap.
Yeah, a lot cheaper than the ones they sell that are pre-made.
Yep.
But other than that, I got some chainsawing done, but you can't show that on. I can't drag that in here too easily, so you'll have to see it next week. Well, hopefully I'll have something roughed out.
Right on. Thanks, Dave. All right, let's go to Mr. Bundy.
Yes, sir. I haven't showed anything for a while because what I was making, I made bunches of pieces and then assembled. About 2-3 months ago, I showed a clock. Well, my family members liked them. They're going to each get one for Christmas.
Those are nice, Billy. I mean, Charlie.
That is nice.
That one is made out of red oak. I got to make 17 of them, and I've only got five made or 6 made. I still got them, some of them put together. That's apple wood.
Pretty.
I learned a lesson on this one. Don't put the shells in and then coat it, because you get a chemical reaction off the brass. I don't know if it was leftover powder in the shells or what, but that's what darkened it around the face.
It's a feature, Charlie.
Yeah, I tried sanding it again. No way. It's soaked in good. Another one out of Red Oak.
That's why it's a good Christmas gift.
I really like the shells as the hours. That's just cool.
I learned a lesson on the shells too. I try to make 4 big ones and then 8 little ones. I didn't pay close enough attention to the calibers. The calibers are a lot smaller, but the outer rims were almost identical. I got one in another room I got to do something about. And then I made a cross. That's just worm-eaten pine. Then I took a torch to it and coated it.
Cool.
And then I had some spare time. I made a couple of Christmas trees.
There you go.
I don't know. My wood pile I spray so that worms and ants and stuff don't get in it. But they did a number on my wood pile anyway this year.
Yeah, I haven't been able to keep the insects out of mine either.
That's all.
Good job, Charlie.
All right, thanks, Charlie.
Yep, thank you.
All right, let's go to Mr. Brady. Hey, Lan, welcome back.
Hey, Lan.
And Birdhouse Bob.
How's it going?
Hey, guys. How's everybody?
What's up,
Actually,
fellas?
Bob's the one showing stuff tonight.
We're at John Campbell teaching a class, and the Taste of Campbell class, where we have different people every day, and we did French rolling pins, and this is one that I did. This was a demo piece.
Nice.
Right on.
And then this was another demo piece that I did. Can't see the color in it. There
You
we
can see
go.
the spalting.
Yeah, very nice. Spalted maple.
No, it's actually poplar.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
And then I thought, well, I made all these birdhouses, so I need a place to hang them. So I made a Christmas tree to hang the birdhouses in. I just got to make some littler birdhouses. I've been making a bunch of Christmas trees. My wife gives away to her friends, and I sell some. So keep her happy. And that's what I got.
Very nice.
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 Good. Thanks for sharing there. Hope you guys are having fun.
Having a blast.
Having a great time.
Outstanding.
Got some tired feet, but that's all right.
All right, let's go to Matt. Hey, Matt.
Howdy. I was doing some. I'm on Alan Stratton's email list, and he sends out notifications. So he puts a new video out, and I saw one come out with ornaments that I found very intriguing. So I was in the shop today making things on the lathe like that, and basically it's got a little finial that I need to make black yet, and I've got a different finial that's going to be on the bottom like that.
Cool.
That's the idea. So
that's Max
if y'all
Rock
want, I'll put the video in the chat. But it was fascinating because it was multi-axis, and a number of the folks who chimed in on the post on Facebook have said that that's something that Max Brosey does. It came from him originally. So I just to make sure everybody knows what the train is. But this was a lot of fun, and it wasn't that hard to do. I mean, there was some sanding and carving after it was all, after I came off the lathe with it, but turned out great.
Yeah, it looked
Looking
interesting
good.
when you posted your photo on it.
Yep, and I'm gonna glitter it up. So.
Oh, of course you are.
Glitter it up, dress it
all
up.
you naysayers can, take a hike. The wood is free, man. I got lots of
like holly.
Normal fat.
No, it's
All
box
right.
elder. It's a soft maple box elder. I got like 5 cords of this stuff. So
Oh my God.
we cut down.
Demo, Matt.
Yeah, cut down like 8 trees in the backyard, so I got lots of it.
Right on.
So,
all right. Let's go to this character here.
Oh goodness.
No
Oh goodness is right.
Who's that?
Yeah, I don't know. Some stranger. This is a work in progress. It's not quite finished yet. It was a I'm not going to push the lid on because I won't be able to get it off. It was a bit of a snug fit to start with, but it was easily removed and still until I put finish on it. So I'm going to have to adjust that, but the grain lines up. This is a wood I've never turned before. It is spalted grape. Okay, what happened?
What happened there?
I don't know. It's weird. It is spalted grapefruit.
Oh, cool.
And it's just really, I mean, it's a really light colored wood. It turns beautifully. It sands nicely. The inside is also finished. The only thing is, like I said, I've got to get the lid so that it goes on and off a little easier. And the finial is just a icicle finial in live oak because I wanted something that was contrasting. But just a little litter box that I'm going to give the guy that gave me. He gave me 3 grapefruit logs, so I'm gonna give this to him and his wife. Once I get done, I've got it's got antique oil on it, and it's got 2 coats now, and I need at least 4 more before I'm gonna be happy with it. But I think it's gonna look nice when it's done.
It's pretty wood, Billy. I've been watching your progress on it. Takes those burn lines really nice too.
It really does, and I can't wait to turn the other 2 logs. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. They're a little bigger than this one was. This was turned in grain, the whole log, pith and all. You can see the pith is right there. It did. It's been. I mean, it was bone dry. It's been dry for quite a while. That's why the cracks are in it. But I filled them with basically just super glue, and they held together nice. But I'm happy with it anyway. I'm back on the lathe and having fun.
Very cool.
Yeah,
back on the lathe and back on dry ground.
Yep. Thank you. While I'm waiting on antique oil to dry, I've been playing with the laser, making some earrings.
There you go. Let us know when you start wearing them.
Do what?
Let us know when you start wearing them.
That ain't gonna happen.
Oh, well. Amen. Right on. All right. Thanks, Billy.
Thanks,
All
you
right,
guys.
let's do one more gallery, and then we'll be going to our demonstration for the evening. Let's go to Mr. Grinstead. Hey, Bob.
Let me get this stuff off my screen, and
we don't want to see that stuff.
But anyway, I wanted to show the little snowman that I made. I think Walt Wagner and whoever did the demo last week, I think he's made some of these, or I heard he did. Yep. And so anyway, I decided to try it, and it turned out pretty good. I like that. Just a little 2x4, 5-inch long block, and drilled a couple of holes.
Too. I saw that on Facebook earlier. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks. But it turned out real good. I don't know, I'm gonna have to learn how to paint like you do. I need to paint some of these, I guess. But anyway, it turned out real good. That was easy.
Get out a brush and go to Walmart's and pick up some acrylic paint and have at it.
That's cool, Bob.
Yeah, it's just have to play with it. But I have one more piece here. This was one that I saw. Let's see if you can see that. This was
oh, nice.
Not very bright here. I don't know why, but there we go.
Beautiful. Yeah, that is really cool.
I think you call that a vortex turning, but
is that plywood?
This is plywood. Yeah.
Wow.
This was in the UK magazine, that World Wood Turning magazine out of the UK. In this latest article, and anyway,
what cutter did you use for that plywood?
you actually used a one of those carbide cutters.
Yeah, I imagine carbides. Yeah.
Yeah, it cuts a whole lot easier than just a regular tool.
Yeah, big difference probably.
Yeah, but anyway, it turned out real good. You have to make these, pretty deep, and I really like the cut. See where it's cut in here. I think that shows up better than this side did. This side has some of it, but it's not as much of it. I think these might be deeper, but both sides, it still turned out pretty. Still turned out fine.
It turned out real pretty.
Yeah,
that's gorgeous.
Well,
Bob, did you try varying the offset when you put it together, or what?
No, you cut it. You put this thing together in a square.
Yeah.
And so it's I think it's 10.5 inches. Each one of these was 10.5 inch. And I've got a 3/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, a 3/4, a 1/2 inch alternating.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So it varies a little bit. And then you put it together in a square on a backboard, another faceplate, and you turn it. And you glue them together just on the edges. You have paper in here so you can knock them apart again. So you glue it together just on the ends inside on this faceplate in this square. So you turn it, and then you flip it, pull it out, flip it over, and you turn it again. And then when the offset, in the magazine, he never told you how much distance this offset is.
No, that's what
And if you don't really, and Jim and I both talked about this, but you don't really know what it is until you go to put it together. And if you have a straight line, and you look on the web page, and I had on our Facebook page, and you can see the deal that put this together. I had a piece here, and I had a piece on this side, and the closer, the taller you want to make this thing, the further the distances vary, coming down. But
did that change the look of it very much?
It did. It changed quite a bit because each one of these would move further. This might have been in the middle of that if I had kept going with it. But at 10.5 inches, this thing's already 19.5 inches tall.
Yeah.
Just the turning, not much less the base, and that's bigger than stuff I really want. So I think awesome. I could have used maybe an 8-inch piece here instead of a 10.5. And
I thought it was just a wall hanging till you turned it around.
Yeah, it's just nice that you could use it as a wall hanging. But I created a base here. I don't know if you can see that base, but that's that Joe Son paint.
Pretty.
Just on a base, and a 1/4-inch bolt holding it up. I think in the article they had that acrylic or something, but I didn't want to go buy anything. I'm cheap, so I didn't want to buy it. But it turned out pretty good. I kind of liked it. It's different, and it's something I hadn't tried before.
Hey, everything's bigger in Texas.
That's really cool, Bob. It really is.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Yes, for sure.
And it depends on which way the light hits us, the more shadows you get. But anyway, thanks. I think it turned out pretty good.
That's different.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
All right. Awesome. Well, that's it, guys. That's all I got tonight.
All right. Well, thanks there, Bob.
More ideas running through my head.
Just after the top of the hour.
This gives you a lot of ideas. If you turn something and then offset the pieces like this, and it really looks like a Picasso painting or something,
Yeah.
Kind of chopped up, but different.
Oh, I love that. That looks great.
Well, thanks.
All right. Well, it's top of the hour, and we just heard the magic voice here. So let's go to Safety Sue and get our safety moment.
Hi there.
Hey,
We
Sue.
missed last week, but I've
Yes, we
hopefully
did. My fault.
it's okay. Hopefully no one got hurt this week and that everyone's safe this week. I was watching some stuff on YouTube and I was watching an IRD on something else. What amazes me is how many people don't wear respirators or face shields because they say that it conflicts with their microphone. And we've shown here with the people that are demonstrating that that's not true. You can have a microphone when you have a face shield on. And then they'll say, well, you know, I was watching one fella do walnut, and he said, now remember, you must wear dust protection or a respirator for walnut. But he wasn't, because again, it would prevent him from talking on the IRD. And I'm thinking, my goodness, folks, as wood turners, we all know that there's workarounds, but there's no workaround for your health. There's a lot of people out there that have COPD, have asthma, have a plethora of problems. We don't need to exasperate it by not following our safety guidelines. So watch your eyes, watch what you're breathing in. And there's a workaround for talking or even breathing with all that stuff on. So come on, folks, let's do it right. And while we are giving demonstrations, please make an example, especially for the new turners or even for the seasoned turners. Let us be safe this week, and hopefully we won't be coughing or anything else next week. So take care of each other and be good. See you next week.
Right on. Thanks, Sue. All right. Well, we have Kade Bolger lined up for our demonstrator tonight. And we're going to go to Kade. Kade's going to give us a nice little demo. Probably some excellent tool presentation and technique tips. Kade's demo. Keep any of your questions or comments till the end of the demonstration, and then afterwards, Kade will be more than happy to answer any questions or comments that you have. At this time, I am going to mute everybody. Kade, unmute yourself after I mute everybody. And the floor is now yours, sir.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I hope all is well. So today we're going to have a fun little demonstration, a good little skill builder, fairly simple project, but if you don't get the parameters and the shapes correct, it's not such an easy project to turn. Since it's a fairly easy, quick project, I'm going to be doing two variations of the same thing. And today I'm going to be turning tippy tops. I heard back in the day, maybe a couple years ago or a couple months ago, some people asked about them, wanted to know about them, the science, the physics, the math behind them. So we'll go through all that today. Here's one. Here's the inside. Here's the other one. I've made quite a few of these, and I have two bags. So this bag is ones that work. This bag is ones that don't work, and we'll go through why they don't work later, okay? At the end, if you have problems with different things or different proportions or flat sides, they will not work. So your spheres have to be absolutely perfect. Now, they're a fun project to make. So here we've all made many spinning tops. This is a box of 200 spinning tops. It was an order. I make spinning tops for a toy store in Toronto, and then they're made out of many different types of woods, many different shapes. Maple, ash, cherry, oak, white oak, brown maple, red maple, figured maple. I don't use walnut because walnut has toxins in them, and kids tend to put these in their mouth, or animals will chew on them. So this I will be shipping out, and we've all made many different types of tops. So if you want to up the ante and make it a little more challenging for yourself, try making a tippy top. Okay. Now the proportions of a tippy top have to be a perfect sphere, and I will go into that more depth throughout the demo. There's a bit of math and physics involved. I'm not going to go too in depth into the math and physics of it all, but I will talk about your actual center mass according to the sphere, and then your actual center of mass, which is intended by the wood itself, because this needs to come around, flip itself over, and it starts spinning on the top pedestal of the what you spin it with. Okay, I have a couple of videos. I'll show you how they work, a couple diagrams. I'll show you how they work and the physics behind it, and a couple other diagrams I saw on Google that are misleading because the proportions are not correct, and you will be chasing your tail if you follow that proportion. Okay, so first off, let's show a couple examples here. This is the one I just showed, and it flips up and it spins on the finger hold piece. Here's another one, the other ash one I showed. Now you can make these in many different sizes. The smaller you go, the harder it is. Okay. The bigger you go, the easier it is. Now this is a small one. The proportions have to be absolutely perfect in order for them to work. If they don't work, it's still a cool spinning top someone will like, but it can't be called a tippy top. Okay. Now here I have the diagram. We have our axis of symmetry, which is where the post goes directly through the sphere. The rotational axis is also below the actual center of the sphere. So the top red dot is the center axis of the overall sphere, but the bottom red dot is the center axis of the mass of the wood in the sphere itself. Okay. And this is what allows the tippy top to rotate up and around the sphere and jump up onto the handle. Now it is crucial when you make these that you include the stem as your sphere, okay? And I'll talk more about this when I create it and create the proportions. So my diameter is the actual rough length of the overall piece. This sphere needs to follow to the top of this in order it to work. If this is too long or too short, it will not upright itself on the finger hold. If you have a flat spot, it won't be able to get past that flat spot onto the top curve to rotate up onto the handle. If you have a flat spot on the bottom, it won't be able to rotate up and around that sphere. If this is too elongated and you have more of an oval than a sphere, it will come around and it will continue to spin on that flat side of the oval. So your sphere has to be absolutely perfect, and the length of your handle has to be absolutely perfect. Now you can make these in two different ways, and these are both made in two different ways.
This is one solid piece of ash, okay? This one is two-part. This is ash, and the handle is honey locust. Now, if you do this where you have a different handle according to the body of the overall tippy top, you have to have relative similar mass and density woods for the rotation and the axis and the balance of the overall piece in order to pop up on to the top, okay? Also, the diameter is the diameter the same this way as it is this way in a sphere, okay? So we make this a little longer, and depending how far we drill, we need to put it in further, leave it out further. It's easier to leave it out further and then trim this to the proper height to complete that sphere. But really, what you really want is this to bottom out in the wood, make it slightly longer, and then trim it after. Because if you have an air pocket in between the hole and the stem itself, you might have more glue settle on one side than the other, and now it is no longer properly balanced in order to come up and around that curve onto the top pin of the handle that you spin, okay? So it is a lot more complex than just trying it, throwing it on the lathe, but it's a fun project to do, okay? The ones that had problems that did not work, this one didn't work because my sphere has more of a flat spot on the bottom sphere rather than a perfect curve, okay? So that wouldn't come off the tip unless I spun it slightly offside, okay? So there are problems you may run into. You can also see that when I lie this like this, it doesn't right itself again, like so. So I actually have a slight flat spot on the side, so it won't get past that flat spot, okay? What you want is for this to right itself by the top of the handle, and there, catch, and it will not stop on any flat spot, and that entails that you have a perfect sphere, okay? Now this other one that didn't work, like I said before, if they're too elongated and they're not a perfect sphere, you can see I have a nice sphere here. I have a little bit of a flat spot there, and then this is too elongated to be a perfect sphere. Also, my handle is too long to continue that perfect sphere into here. I would actually need to lose a 1/4 inch and then bring this in more so it would get up and around that corner. We can see that that stays like that on the elongated side, okay? This one is also the same. Maybe also if it's too pointy here, it's gonna stay on the point. It won't rotate on that mass and that curve, okay? It will also not right itself because it's too elongated, okay? The handle is also too tall, okay? So there are proportions that will not allow them to work correctly. So your measurements and your proportions have to be absolutely perfect. Now, just for fun, I went on YouTube and I watched a couple videos, and one I watched was Alan Stratton. At the end, he did one like this, which was actually in 2 pieces. So color contrast of different woods. At the end, his tippy top didn't work. It didn't right itself on the handle. And then he said that he read an article that says, well, that's okay. I read an article that says all tippy tops don't actually work. Well, they don't work because your proportions and your physics aren't correct. That's the bottom line, okay? So you have to have your proportions, your perfect sphere, your handle in proportions to the sphere, no flat spots, and so forth. Now you can make these in many different sizes. When I prepare my material, these are 2 3/4 inch in length and 1.5 inches width. So when I turn this round, I will be roughly 1.5 inches diameter. Okay. This one is 1.25 inches. Now these are the blanks I use for the bigger ash tippy tops. Okay. The smaller ones, and you can make them in many different sizes, many different woods. Here's some walnut. This one is 1 1/4 by 3 inches in length. This one is 1 1/4 by, I think it's, I didn't write it down, but that one's probably 5 inches or so, 4 1/16. And this will actually give me three tippy tops or so, maybe 4. Okay. No, 2 or 3, not 4. Now you can make them smaller. You can make them out of pen blanks. I don't buy pen blanks. I buy a lot of wood, so my offcuts are cutting around cracks. I create my 1 inch by 1 inch rough stock style pen blanks. I don't really turn many pens anymore, but they are great skill builders and great sellers for the amount of cost that's in the piece for what you can sell them for. These are my finial blanks for my ornaments and box finials. Okay. Now, the small one I showed on the video, like this one right here, it's very small. And this one works, but this was turned out of a pen blank. Now, the smaller you go, the harder it is. The bigger it is, the easier it is to get those proportions exactly correct. Okay. And again, you want it to write itself, no flat spots. Once I've turned these, we'll take them both upstairs, give them a spin, and see if they work. Okay?
Sounds great.
All right. So I'll have my hand model hold my phone while I spin them. That way it won't look like a Blair Witch project. So like Safety Sue said, take the proper safety precautions you see fit. We're all responsible for our own safety in our own shops. I will be wearing earplugs. I will be wearing safety glasses. I will not be wearing a face shield because all mine are packed up for my class tomorrow that I'm teaching a Wood Turning 101 class. But something of this small won't really do much damage. I've been hit with worse. So again, if you want to wear a face shield, you're responsible for your safety in your shop. Feel right ahead. I would also be wearing a respirator, but in a matter of demonstrating, if you wear a respirator, your voice is quite muffled, and I would sound like Darth Vader, making some words and some sayings harder to understand. Okay. Also, I'm not wearing any rings, watches, bracelets, long sleeves that will pull me into the lathe. Now we can see on this camera, my tool rest is a little high. My tool rest is at the height for a skew. So I can lower this down a little bit so I'm below center and I'm cutting at center. I'm just going to rough these round with a tenon quickly. And to save time, I have my spur drive within my spigot jaws, which is what I will be using to hold the overall piece. Also, we're not standing in the line of fire, so if this were to come off the lathe, it's not going to harm us. It's only going to harm my camera. Okay. People ask me what speed I turn at. Turn at whatever speed you feel comfortable turning at. I'm turning at 1800 RPMs. I have my flute angled like this, so there's no chance of a catch if I accidentally hit my chuck. Okay? I can double check to see if this is round by taking my tool and laying it on those skis. Okay? My phone just fell off my lathe. I'm going to pick that up. Now I grab my parting tool and I'm going to create a tenon that will be held within my spigot jaw. Roughly about 1 inch in diameter or so. Doesn't have to be perfect. Inch. Then I come across with my miniature my miniature skew, just to clean up that surface and make sure I have a nice shoulder. I'm gonna take that sharp edge off so I don't cut myself if I were to slip into that corner. It's okay to move your tool rest, but I highly recommend shutting your lathe off first. This piece, I will do the exact same. This one I will do on this camera angle. When you tighten this up, you always want that cup in contact with the wood, which makes sure that that spur drive bites into the wood, because that's what's going to drive this piece of wood safely and efficiently, but more importantly, keep it on the lathe and not flying through the air. I shouldn't have to double check my tool rest because I checked it in the beginning, and the pieces of wood are the exact same dimensions. Oh, I forgot to do it on this camera. Here we go. One more pass. One more pass. Okay. Double check. See if it's round. We're round. We're off to the races. Take my parting tool. Create a tenon again. About 1 inch. 3 widths of my parting tool, which is a 3/16. Come across with my miniature skew, take off that sharp shoulder, and we're ready to put it in the chuck. My chuck key is in my chuck. My hand does not come off of that chuck key. Don't want to get doing something, forget that it's there, start the lathe, and you have a mortar round flying through the air. Okay? The only time my hand comes off that piece is when it's out of the chuck and attached to my lathe. Everything's attached to my lathe with rare earth magnets. Something this small. I don't use tailstock support, but you can, because I don't want that pinhole in the end of the piece. I need to true this up as well because I need to take those spur marks out of that end. Can double check my diameter. I'm at 1 3/8. 1 3/8. Okay. Give or take a 64th. Now I'm just going to come across here with my parting tool first. Clean up this surface. Remove that pinhole. Slow down as I go through the center. Now this one I'm going to do first will be a solid body one. The next one I do will be two pieces for color contrast, a different color wood. So when I create my stem, it's about 1/4 inch. Okay. I come down about 2.5 widths of my parting tool. I can come across with my miniature skew, clean up the surface. You also need a chamfer on the corner so it can pop up on the top of that handle. Okay. Now when I map this out, we have our actual center and our center mass. Okay. The actual center is determined by the diameter of the wood. Okay, which is 1 3/8 inches. All right, which is actually 11/8. Okay, so I need to take this, or 11/16. Now, like I said, my handle needs to be part of this sphere. Okay, in order for it to work correctly. So my bottom of my sphere will be roughly here. Now, when I made that reference that this is 11/8, I need to take half of that. 11/8 is 22/16. So half of that is 11/16. Okay. So I need to count 11/16, which is right there. Okay. So this is roughly my center mass. Now that is too close to here, so I'm going to move it over maybe 1/16. And the bottom of my sphere is here, and I can always trim off 1/16 here later. Okay. Now you can use whichever tool you desire. I can imagine you can guess which tool I'm going to use. I'm going to use my handy dandy skew, the best tool on the market, least amount of sanding. I won't need my 60 grit sandpaper for this. Okay. I start off with a V cut. There we are, just to remove some of that material. I'm also going to come up and around this corner to create this side of my sphere. There we are. And one more pass. There we are. Okay. Now, before I go too far, I need to part in to remove some of this mass in here in order to have the axis of rotation, the center mass, and the actual mass different, okay? Which will allow it to rotate up and around that axis onto the handle. So I need to part in to that line, or fairly close to it. I part in so far, and I relieve that cut because I do not want to be bound in between the wood. Your tool, you should never be able to fry an egg on that tool. Okay? I come back and I take a quarter of the width of my parting tool. Enter again, and I go down a little deeper. Okay? I come back to the handle, ride the point, and I come down to the bottom of that piece. Here, come across like this. I'm using my miniature skew to clean up that end grain surface. Okay?
How far in did you go, Kade?
I went in just about this line, which is the actual center of my sphere. That way the center mass has now changed about a 1/16 below that, which allows that rotation of axis. Here. So I parted down roughly to that first red dot, which is the actual center of the overall sphere. Changing my center of mass roughly a 1/16 or an 1/8 below it, depending on the diameter of the tippy top you are creating. Okay? And that's what allows the axes and the rotation to happen onto the handle of your tippy top. It would be the completion of my sphere, would pop me up onto this edge, onto the top. Okay, I can actually remove maybe a 1/64 of that. And I need to actually clean that up anyway, because we don't want this to be rough. So I'm going to clean that up with my skew in a vertical planing cut across that end grain. There we are. And I need to create this chamfer so it can pop up onto the top of that top. Now I need to complete my sphere. Okay. Come up and around here. I'm going to remove some of that material, also defining the bottom of my sphere. It's about probably 3/4 of an inch. I wouldn't go thinner than that because I don't want this to vibrate and flex as I'm turning and cutting that profile. There we are. My sphere is starting to take shape. Okay. I'm going to blend this. There we are. There's my nice sphere. I have a high side here. I need to blend. A high side here. I need to blend. And we're there. Sand this roughly. Blend any tool marks, any inconsistencies in your sphere. I have a really nice profile, so I don't have to do that, but I'm just blending to get a nice finish. Watch your finger out. Watch out for the chuck.
Knuckle buster.
Now I'm going to come in here a little bit more. Now I'm at about just under a 1/4 inch. And I need to follow the curve of my sphere. You do not want a point or a flat spot. And you can see I have a bit of a point. Now I have a sphere. One more pass, finishing cut. I'm removing maybe a 1/16. I didn't slow the speed of my lathe down because I know I have a good finish off the tool. So I will have very little sanding. And I'm starting and stopping with 240. Okay. Take my thin curve parting tool here. Part this off. We'll catch it. And now I need to blend the bottom. Oh, where'd that drop to?
Oh, gotta make another one.
It fell into my wood pile of hundreds of ornament shavings. Take this piece out. I stick the handle into my spigot chucks. Now some people may say, are you worried about denting the wood on the handle? No, it's a tippy top. It's a spinning top. It's not a $5,000 art piece. Also, I'm not crunching down onto the fibers of that wood excessively to dent it. I just need it to be held so I can follow that sphere and blend that point. Okay? If there's a little indentation in it, no one's going to notice it but myself or another wood turner. But wood turners aren't buying my stuff, so really no one's going to notice. Nice and balanced, nice sphere. In doing this, you have to make sure that your jaws are perfectly balanced, so when I flip this around, it's running as true as it was between centers. Okay? Take my trusty skew again, and I'm going to part through this, blending the bottom of my perfect sphere. There we are. You can see I have a little bit of a point there. Okay. So one more pass, one more pass. You got to make sure if you're using the skew, you're riding that bevel only on that bottom third, because we don't want that beautiful spiral design on there that everybody loves to hate, okay? It will change the profile of your sphere and the proportions and the physics and the weight distribution of your tippy top, okay? Now, one thing you can do if you have trouble turning spheres or perfect spheres is you can use your skew as a negative rake scraper to really refine that sphere, okay? I don't need to do it on this one, but I will show you what I mean without actually touching the wood. My tool rest is below center. I'm cutting at center, and I would blend around in a scraping fashion to blend that into that perfect sphere. Now keep in mind, we don't want a hollow, we don't want a flat spot here, because it will never get up and come up the curve of that sphere onto the lid itself, or onto the handle itself, I mean. Okay? So I'm safe to sand. Remove your tool rests. You could use a spear jig if you wanted to, but the amount of setup and time for that spear jig is astronomical. So it's far quicker and easier to just learn to turn spheres. Yeah.
Plus all the sanding involved with the spear jigs.
And that is the first one complete. So now the next one we're going to do will have two parts. So a different type of wood to give you that color contrast from body to top. Okay? And a good way to see if I have a good sphere and I don't have flat spots is to take your flat board, set this down like this. If you have a flat spot, it will stop on the edge. Try it in different areas. So try it here. It should right itself and continue to move. That means I don't have a flat spot on the bottom or the sides. I would also try it from the center of my sphere to make sure I don't have a flat spot on the top of that sphere, and I don't. So the balance and the proportions and the weight mass according in conjunction to the center of mass in conjunction to the actual center of the sphere on this piece is correct, okay? So it should work properly when we spin it upstairs in a few minutes, okay? So now we'll go ahead and we'll turn the other one, okay? Now you can turn this with any type of wood. Closed grain wood are easier to use and you get a nicer finish off, especially if you have tear out or not the best tool control, okay? With an open grain wood, you have to absolutely have really nice tool control, curve, proportions, because we can't have tear out anywhere in this grain because that will create drag in the spinning of the top and it will not actually create that rotation and pop up onto the handle because we have that drag across all of that end grain, okay? Now we'll do the next one. Any questions so far? While I put this in the chuck and grab a sip of my ginger ale.
So one general question, Kate, regarding the carving out the inside of the tippy top with the parting tool. Do you ever have problems, or is there a problem with the parting tool getting into the way of the depth and to the carving out the wall proportionally? I don't know if I'm saying it correctly the way it was asked or not, but do you ever have any issue with the part with using the parting tool for getting in to carve out the inside?
No, I don't have any problems with carving the inside of the end grain. I mean, you have to have the right presentation to the wood. So your tool rest needs to be below center. So I'm cutting at center of that piece of wood into the end grain. And then as I'm cutting in, I'm going in, and then I always come out. Once I've gone in maybe a 1/4 inch, I relieve the tool and I cut another 1/4 or a half, depending on the diameter of that tippy top, because I don't want this to be bound between the wood, heating up and catching the wood, because when this heats up, the wood expands, grips, grabs the tool, and you can have a catch, you can have something fly off the lathe, or your tool is just, you could fry an egg on the tool and it's going to be dull. So those you have to take into account, that your tool rest is below center. I'm cutting into center. I'm cutting directly in along that post because I want this post to stay that 1/4 inch diameter in order to have the proper weight proportions to the tippy top. Okay, if I have too much mass here, contrary to the going into the center mass and the actual mass, it will be off and the weight will be off to flip this up onto the top. So I just follow that in just like so. And then I relieve it, and then I ride the other edge on the opposing wall to come in and cut down to the bottom depth of my end grain itself.
Okay.
If you do those steps, you won't have a problem, you won't have a catch, you won't have this and that.
Okay.
But if your tool rest is...
That clears up the question. Thanks, Kade.
Okay, perfect.
Right on.
Any other questions?
Let's see. There's a question about just came in. Does a finish affect how the top will perform?
I do not know because I do not put finish on these. If anything, I might put 1 coat of finish oil on it, so it will be a matte finish. I thin the finish and I put it on and wipe off excess. But I'm not allowing excessive amounts of finish to be absorbed into that end grain on this side and this side, because that will change the weight proportions of the overall piece. In fact, what I usually do with my tops, whether they're traditional tops or tippy tops, is these are raw. These don't have any finish on them whatsoever, okay? And I do that so kids can color them, paint them, draw on them, embellish them however they like. And they don't have to worry about the finish impeding those paints or colors or markers or whatever they're using to embellish the piece. You can wood burn them, you can do stuff like that, but I've never wood burned one because if you remove too much material on this on the side grain versus the face grain, because we have a lot more open pores, again, your weight, mass, and proportions and center will be off and it won't perform optimally, okay? So I've never done excessive amount of finish to plasticize these, so I don't know if the finish will affect them. I only put 1 coat of oil, or 9 times out of 10, I leave them raw. If it's for a client or a friend or a client who has people who collect tops, I might put a couple coats of finish on it, but I'm not plasticizing it to change that proportions. All right. Now this I will need to true up again. I need to take that point out of there. It's off slightly, a little out of round. My tool rest is a little low for the diameter. I'm at center from when I was using my parting tool. So I do need to raise my tool rest to that 11 o'clock position. Just so I can go to the skew from my parting tool. Because my tool rest is so high, you can see the angle at which I'm using my parting tool. It still works and it's still as safe can be. Okay. Now, because I'm going to be putting a different type of wood with a color contrasting finial or handle on this piece, I'm going to be drilling this out, so I don't need to face that with my skew, really. Okay, but when I create my proportions, I do need to take into account roughly how long is my handle going to be. So my proportion on this piece is, let's see, 1 7/16. Okay, to make it easy, I'll go down a 16th to, because I'm going to remove a little bit of wood in the carving of the sphere. I'll probably lose about a 16th. Okay. So I can take that into account. Now, so the bottom of my sphere is going to be roughly around here. And then again, that's the same as before. That is 11/8. So if I take the 16ths into consideration, that's 22/16. So I need to go down to 11/16 in order to get half. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, right there. Okay. And that is roughly my halfway point. Okay. If my handle is protruding roughly a 1/4 inch or 5/16 or 3/8. Okay, it can be trimmed at that time. I just want to create an eyeball reference. Now this is out around and this is flopping around. So I'm actually going to have to do that again because I need to just true this up slightly. You can see I'm not perfectly round. Now I'm perfectly round. Coming this way, it's not really needed, but if you want to see how close you can get to the chuck, try it out. Just don't dull your tools on the chuck. Okay, so where was I? I was at 1 3/8, which would take into account my stem. So roughly about there. Now I need 11/16, which is right there. So if I go from there to there, that is roughly where my center is, give or take a 16th, because I can trim the handle a 16th. Okay. Give myself a visual. couple of V cuts just to distinguish between the two. Now I'm going to grab my Forstner bit. Now on something this size, the two drill bits I use are 7/16 and 1/4 inch. Okay. 7/16 I will be drilling to this line. My 1/4 inch I will be drilling into the bottom, but whatever I drill, I need to use that handle to bottom out and fill that mass. Okay. So you have your measurements are crucial in this project. Okay. I've seen people color them with markers or Sharpies or stuff like that, which is cool. It makes them fun and colorful, and it will not affect the proportions or the balance at all. Okay. So roughly, if I give myself an eyeball or I want a reference to look at, I can take this and I'm at 1/2 inch. Okay. So I'll transfer that to my drill bit. Actually, no. Yeah, so I'm at 1/2 inch roughly. Yep. Actually, not quite 1/2 inch. Okay. I'm actually at 7/16. Okay. So I'm going to take that, keep my finger on that 7/16, eyeball it roughly to here, and I know I need to drill roughly about there on my drill bit. Okay, give or take. I don't do depth gauges and depth stops and match it to this. I eyeball it. Okay. Now when I drill, if you want to keep your drill bit sharp, drill between 200 and 500 RPMs. Otherwise, if you drill quicker and plunge out quicker, you could drill at the speed you were turning at, like a production turner would. I'm right in there at my depth I want to be. We saw when I was using this, I was holding on to my Jacob's chuck just in case the wood heated up too much, grab the metal. I don't want this to come pulling out and stuck in the wood, because this will be lodged in the wood, spinning around like this until the wood breaks free, and then you have a mortar shell flying through the air. I had one friend who was doing this, and he wasn't holding on to his Jacob's chuck. He was drilling into a deep vase. It got caught, came around so quick, and it hit him across the wrist, shattered his wrist. He had to give up turning for probably 1.5 years before he was able to do it again. So make sure you follow proper safety protocol in the hobby that you love to do. Okay. Now I need to change to my 1/4 inch. And this, I drill in to the top of my Forstner bit. You can see probably a 1/4 inch. If you want an exact measurement, it is a 1/4 inch. Okay. Now, when I'm drilling, I only drill into the top of that Forstner bit, and then I come out. Okay. And we can see I was drilling at the right speed, the right feed rate. My drill bit's not sharp. Or it's still sharp because I cannot fry an egg on it. I just blew the dust out of there. It's not crucial at this minute, but why not? Now I need to move my tool rest closer. I need to create this proportions in part of my sphere, but I need to keep enough mass in order to put that peg in back in place, okay? If you have two chucks with spigot jaws, it's good to have because we don't really want to take this out of this chuck and put it back in the chuck. You could mark the center of your teeth on 3 of these, mark it on the wood, try and get it exactly back, but it's not going to be exact. And in something crucial like this with the measurements and the proportions and the center mass, or the center of the sphere versus the actual center mass, it's crucial that we don't take it out of the chuck, okay? So I'm just going to give this a rough shape first. And I'll do this with this camera. And I'm going to do this side of my sphere first. But I am turning at the speed I was drilling at, so now I want to ramp it up, back up to the 1800 RPMs I was turning at. Watch your hand out for the chuck. Chucks and skin don't mix well. There we are. I leave roughly a 1/16 of an inch wall thickness, just so it's not a hazard for me to cut myself on if I slip. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to this camera, and I'm going to part this down. But I'm leaving it roughly at an inch diameter because depending on my stem and the proportions of how far or little it protrudes, the bottom of my sphere could change a hair in either direction, okay? My sphere is starting to take shape. It's a little elongated and a little bit of a high side here, but that is still able to be refined. There we are. Now I'll clean this up here. Just like I'm playing pool, okay? You shouldn't have to have a death grip on any tool you're using, including the skew, okay? There we are. I'll sand this quick. feels good. I can sand this slightly, remove any sharp edges, round that over a hair. Okay. Now I am not removing this from this chuck. I am leaving it in that chuck, and I'm going to use a different chuck for the stem. There we are. And there we are. Okay. Now, do I want to use? I want to use a wood with a close, similar density. So, would walnut work? No, it wouldn't, because it's much softer and it's much lighter and not as hard as ash. Would white oak work? Absolutely. It's harder than ash, but it's roughly the same density, same open grain, and same weight. Close, give or take a hair. Okay. Or I could use honey locust, but I don't have any pieces in honey locust that are a perfect square. So we're going to use white oak. You could use red oak. You could use ash that you ebonized or dyed or colored. You could use an ebony or an African wood if you like. Slight different density, not open grain, but similar in weight. Now this is my one-way stronghold chuck, and unfortunately these outer jaws will not hold this, but that's what these inner jaws are for. Okay. One thing I'm going to do just to make sure this is centered is I'm going to take my center finder and I'll just mark my centers. They were square when I prepared these on the table saw, but with my center finder, they're slightly off. And that's also why I always find my centers, I'll change cameras, on all four sides, okay? Now, I mean, it doesn't matter because once this is a 1/4 inch cylinder, it's going to be balanced and uniform as long as my 1/4 inch cylinder is uniform. Okay. Rough grip. If it's off slightly, I'm finding equal distance between the jaws that are not exactly touching. I'm using tailstock support for majority of this. Here we are. Find my center right there. Now you can bring this up. You don't have to. I mean, it's in the chuck. It's bottomed out in the chuck. It's gripped in the jaws. I mean, normally we don't have this bottomed out in the chuck because it would give it leverage to pop out of the chuck. Definitely on these bigger jaws, but in the smaller jaws with such a fine turning, good tool control presentation, it's not a hazard. Okay. I always tighten both holes. And now whatever gap was in between that one, which was maybe a 64th or so, is now in contact with all four sides of that jaw. And we can see my hand still has not left my chuck key. There will be a time where I need to remove this. Well, you don't necessarily have to remove. Oh, excuse me. A little bit of dust in the air. But it's fiber. We need fiber in our diet sometimes. There's probably just a dry throat from talking too much too. But it's the gift of gab. Once I get talking, it's hard to stop. Okay, the Irish gift of gab.
Good thing to have.
Right? So now I'm centered. I've spun my piece. I've lowered my center below center so I can use my roughing gouge. But there will be a time where I need to switch to a parting tool or a skew or something because my spindle roughing gouge will hit my live center. Okay. That's pretty good for so far. Once we get to here, we stop because we do not want to turn uphill. What will that do? You will get a catch on this corner or this curve. As it hits that curve, it will climb that hill and it will break free a sliver off one of those four corners of those sharp edges.
Yep.
Darwin's law, that sliver is always going to land right here. Okay? So we don't cut uphill. You cut downhill or you stop before you go and make a climb cut. It's the same when using a router. That would be uphill and that would be a climb cut. Okay? Now I grab my calipers, which is exactly made to a 1/4 inch, which is what I drilled. Okay. I'm holding this with one hand stabilized under my forearm for stability. And I'm holding this on the back to get my exact diameter. So I'll show it once here so we could see I have this and I have it tucked against my ribs. I enter the cut. I'm cutting in and down. I take my calipers. They fall into place and I'm at my 1/4 inch. I will show that on this camera and I will show it on my tailstock camera. Now this is probably a 1/16 more than the actual 1/4 inch that goes into the piece because I want a perfect tight fit that fills that mass with no loosey-goosey room for error. Okay. So I will trim that down that 1/16 once I have my post at a 1/4 inch. One thing when you're doing this, you can see my corners are rounded. When you buy these, they come sharp. If I were to do that with sharp corners, the wood would grab this piece and throw it through the air and it would land either in my wall or me. So you need to make sure that you round those edges so that it rides across the wood and it doesn't catch that wood. Okay. Do it one more time here. You can see what I see. I'm riding the calipers here, cutting in, cutting down. They fall into place, and I know I'm at my perfect 1/4 inch. One more time, third camera. There we are. Fell into place. I have my perfect 1/4 inch. Okay. So now I just come down to there. I'm going to work my way back down to that position, maybe a little bit bigger. And like I said, we want it slightly longer because we can trim it down to fit our perfect sphere of our tippy top. Okay. Now I could grab my skew, or since I have my parting tool in hand, it is actually a miniature skew. Okay. It's just that bottom third is that much smaller. It's probably a 1/16 or so. And we'll double check with my actual calipers, and I'm exactly at my 1/4 inch mark. Okay. Up here, I'm a 1/16 above. Okay. So I maybe a 64th and a bit. Okay. So I need to trim that down slightly, and I can do that with my skew traveling in the opposite direction. And stop before you catch that end grain. Yeah. Gonna sand this slightly. Not too much because we don't want to remove too much material. And we're still at my perfect 1/4 inch. Up here, I'm at, oh, a hair bigger, but close enough to a 1/4 inch. And here, I'm a little more. So one more pass. Now I'm removing maybe a 16th. Actually, no, a 64th. There we are. Now I have a perfect cylinder that is a perfect 1/4 inch. I need that chamfer at the top. Now this isn't going to be the top because I have that hole in the top. That will be in the bottom of the tippy top. This will be the top that it flips over and spins on. So just in case this is perfect, I want to create that chamfer right now with my miniature skew. And then I can part through with my actual skew, giving that a perfectly flat surface. And if it's off slightly, once it's glued into the tippy top, you will be able to fix it. Okay, and I'm probably down to about a 16th there. And that's pretty good rather than it come off and me searching for it in my 1.5 feet deep of wood chips. wood chips. I'll leave it there. Remove my tailstop. Actually, one thing I want to do here is just double check this. And I want that slightly tapered. Okay. So I don't want to remove it just so. And this is when tool control is perfect, because if I have too much pressure, it's going to break off back here. I can also support it with my other hand. I want a slight taper so it fits in that hole perfectly. And once I get up to these sides, there we are. Tighten my quill. It will self-center itself. Okay, you don't want to take that off if it won't fit, because you'll have to turn another one. Or you'll do a whole lot of carving and sanding and it won't be perfectly balanced. Okay. Oh, there we go. Some bushings from another project. All right, now I remove this. I still have enough for a short finial or maybe another 2 of those. Or inlay material. Can always use it for something. Or firewood. Now I take this and I put this back on. There we are. Does it fit? Yes, it fits. And it has a nice taper. So I will be able to hammer that in perfectly into place. And this straight side that is actually a 1/4 inch will straighten itself as it bottoms out within the Forstner bit hole. Just a sip of ginger ale, keep my mouth from drying out. All right, now how do I glue this in there? I use thick super glue. You can use any type you want, a Star Bond, Type Bond, offshore brand, whatever you prefer. Okay. This, the price is right because I bought them in a pack. Now I need something to press this into the hole. Okay. This won't do it. So I take a cane stopper, 3/4 inch, fits your live center perfectly. Okay. Now this is good for holding a piece without marking the bottom of it, giving a goblet support without marking the inside of it, or so forth. Okay. Now I would put a piece of router mat in between, roughly the same color of the wood, because if this rubs on this, it's going to leave a beautiful black line or streak or a burn line that you might not want, but it becomes a design opportunity. Okay. But I'm going to use that to push this into the hole once I put glue on. Now, this is rubber-like, and it has some give. So what I like to use is a flat piece of wood that I know is square to one another, because this is not going to give. Okay. Place that up against there, and I press it into place. Okay. First things first, I need a little doppel of glue. You don't want excessive amounts of glue because if I have too much squeeze out, I'm actually going to fill this hole and I'm going to have more glue on one side versus the other, which takes that whole balance and center mass and actual mass out the window. Okay. So I just put a little drop of glue on the very top. Okay. This goes into the hole. Bring this up quick enough before that dries. We press this into place. Oh, it's off. There we are. There we are. Now that's in there. That's centered. If I think it can go a little bit deeper, I'll take out my little trusty hammer here. And bang that into place. Okay, there we are. Relatively true. Bring this up just for support. And I'm actually going to have to change that because it's far too long for the proportion of my sphere. If I take this ruler and I follow that sphere around this corner, the top of my handle should be roughly about there. Okay. Spinning fairly truly. Okay. Well, my skew will clean that up. Coming in here. V cuts. Come back with my V cuts. Remember, I want a flat bottom. Remove my tailstock support. And there it is. Okay. I want this to be flat. That's spinning nicely, nice and true. So I know that my flat side centered it properly and bottomed it out properly. And I want this to be flat or slightly concave because if it's pointed, it will not spin properly. Okay. Create my little chamfer here to get up and around that curve. And just for fun, I'll sand that quickly with 320. And now I can finish And that's perfect. We can see my sandpaper is not flopping around. So I know it is centered properly, proper diameter, filled the hole, proper proportions. Now I have a rough sphere shape, okay? But the sphere in conjunction to my handle may change. It might be a eighth of an inch or a 16th of an inch up because this is actually in closer than I thought it might be. So let's double check my diameter. Okay, I take this and I put it on the top. And yep. So my actual center or bottom of the sphere, which is quite common. Come up here. There we are. And I'm right there, which is about a 16th or just over a 16th. So my sphere needs to come up and finish at that line. In order for all those proportions to be correct. Otherwise, it might not work. It might just be a spinning top. My tool rest is too low. So I need to raise my tool rest to the skew height. Actually, I also need to put the lid back on my super glue so it does not dry out. Oh, I didn't even move my tool rest. There. Now we're at the proper height. Here. You can see where my original was, and I came back that 16th or so. And that looks pretty good. A little elongated here, but that can be fixed with one more pass. Starting halfway down that curve so I don't affect this curve. And there we are. Okay. Before I go any further, I want to just sand that. And just like the last one, here we are. parted down, I created a V cut, and I've taken the piece off. Okay, now we blend this in the jaw like this. Now this, you will see if your stem is not quite perfectly centered. Nice curve. Looks good. I have a little dimple on the tip there. So I need to take that out. Now you just take it out. You don't create a flat spot because it will not come up that rotational axis to the handle. Okay. All right. Now I just need to sand the bottom there. Looks pretty good. Yeah, nice curve. We can see it on the overhead. A little bit of a dimple there. So like I said before, on this one, I'll be able to show you how you could use your skew as a negative rake scraper, but it will dull your skew quite quickly. Much better. One more pass. There we are. I don't want a flat spot or an indent. All right. Just like we did with the last one, we'll check it on our flat surface. And then we can run upstairs quickly and I'll show you that they work.
Yep, the hand model was ready and
My
waiting.
side first. Yeah, looks good. And now I start from the top of the curve to make sure there's no flat spots. Looks good. And now let's go give it a spin. So now I need to change to my cell phone. If Dane could switch me and highlight my cell phone. I'll go upstairs and we'll give these a quick little spin on my stovetop.
Got to start your video on your cell phone, Cade.
Okay. There we are.
All right, I got you.
There we are. Join audio. Sure, I'll turn on audio. But now I'm gonna get an echo. Actually,
You got two mics on.
yes, I know.
Okay.
Thanks.
Lord.
Once I'm out of the basement, I don't have two mics on actually. It's just the audio coming through my laptop onto the microphone of my cell phone.
I muted the other profile. It's fine.
All right. Hey, honey, I need my hand model here. So I'm just going to flip my camera and we're going to make sure that they work. So first one we'll do is the solid body one. You can see it uprights itself. Have a nice curve. It flips over onto the handle. And when it does that, it will right itself again because we have no flat sides. Okay. Now we're going to do the one that has the red oak handle with the ash body. And we're up on the handle. Let's do that one more time. See, it uprights itself again because we have that perfect sphere.
Bumpers are always so good.
That one didn't come around. Here. I didn't spin that one hard enough. It worked the first time. What did I do? There we
Magic
go.
of Zoom. It's the magic of Zoom.
And then here's the other one.
And of course, if you're going to demonstrate it for other folks to show off how they work, you got to bring your flat top stove with you.
Yep, for sure.
They don't work on girdles.
I made a big 20-inch platter a while back, and that's what I demonstrate these things in.
Yeah.
Those things are awesome.
Okay, that was just excellent. Just excellent.
Where else can you get a demo like that, folks?
Great demo, Kade.
Thanks, everyone. I'm just going to turn my audio off here.
Thanks a lot, Kade, really.
There, the audio is off my phone, and now it's back on my laptop. So are there any questions? Here, we can actually go back to this guy. I'll switch back to this camera. And yeah, thanks everyone. Give her a try, have fun with it. If it doesn't work, it might be the proportions. Just try it again. One thing you can do sometimes when turning a sphere, which is very helpful, is take a ruler. And if you find any spot where your ruler stops, you know you have a flat spot on that sphere. And we can see when I come up to the top, I'm right onto the top of that tippy top. Okay, so that ensures I have that perfect sphere. We can do
Pencil
it.
works too.
Pardon?
Sure.
Pencil works too.
Yeah, and then right there, we're on the lid or on the handle. So
Pretty good, pretty good. So
That is
Cade did
just
this
awesome.
demo. He did this demo a couple of years ago. So what you guys
Yep.
ought to do is go back and watch the original one, and then watch this one, and then report back next week the differences on turning style or technique or tips that were given on how to make one of these.
Ed, that was a great demonstration. Thank you.
Thanks. Pleasure.
Is there any other questions or comments? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
It's been a fun summer, so I'm starting up my demos again next month. So keep an eye out. You'll see them.
Sounds good. Once again, thank you very much, Cade.
No problem, Dane. Thanks.
All right, Eddie.
Yeah,
Let's go back to you, and we're almost at closing ceremonies.
And don't forget all of that information about upcoming demonstrations like Scott Hampton's and things that Matt does, things that Kay does. All that is on our chat, folks. The chat is an open forum for you to discuss things about wood turning. Don't pass it up. And there's no restrictions. If you get an event coming up, you know how we can watch a program. There's a freebie here or this or that. Hey, let us know about it. If it deals with wood turning, it's right here on Worldwide Wood Turners. And no matter what, everything that's here tonight is going to be on our website for like forever. And that's because of Dave Rhodes. He puts all this information on one website. There's not another one like it in the entire world, folks. Nowhere. It's right here, and it's yours, and it's free. And all you have to do is invite your friends to join us. Yes, invite a friend to join us each Wednesday evening. We have fun, we talk, we joke, we tease. We have great demonstrations. This is an IRD you'd have to sit down and pay for. Really, you didn't pay for this tonight. This was courteous of Cade. And well, his sidekick Cash was in the background, orchestrating everything. But these folks get together each week and help us out. If you can help us out, let us know. If you got something to show, something to teach, something to share, etc. This is your program, and it continues on. I'm going to duck out in a few moments, but we're right here, and we're going to keep talking tonight. And this is wide open for you. Don't go anywhere, because wood turning in the U.S., wood turning in the world, it all happens right here. Good night, folks. Y'all take care. Be good. Thank you. And above all else, you know the rules. Be safe and save the chat. Save the chat.
Save the chat.